Today I'll explore how the Empire of Japan got its beginnings in an unexpected place, Taiwan's southern tip, the Kending Peninsula. I'll explore the little-known event known as the Mudan Incident that led to the decline of Qing Dynasty China and the rapid rise of Japan's empire. So this is the tomb where the sailors, the Ryukyu sailors who were stranded here in Kending in 1874, that were then killed and beheaded by the TAIWAN indigenous. This is where they're buried. Behind me is the Shimen Battle Memorial. A battle here took place in 1874 between the Japanese forces and the indigenous TAIWAN people. The reason for the battle was as a result of the Mudan Incident. The Mudan Incident happened in 1871 when a crew of Ryukyu sailors were stranded off the coast here in Kending. Of the crew of the ship, 54 of the Ryukyus were killed and beheaded by the TAIWAN people. The indigenous Taiwanese people practiced headhunting. They collected the heads of victims of war as trophies. 54 of the Ryukyus were killed. 12 of the Ryukyus were rescued by Han settlers in the region. Those Han settlers helped the Ryukyus escape, which allowed for the Ryukyus to tell their fellow sailors. At the time, the Ryukyu Islands were an independent kingdom. They were a tributary state of Qing Dynasty China, meaning they sent tribute to Qing Dynasty China as part of the Chinese tribute system. But they were also under the Japanese sphere of influence. So the Japanese blamed the incident on Qing Dynasty China and demanded reparations. Qing Dynasty China said that the incident was out of their control because, quote unquote, civilization had not been extended to these regions. The Qing Dynasty at the time only claimed control of the western third of Taiwan and had marketed the rest as out of their control. Anything that happened beyond those borders wasn't their responsibility. The Japanese used this as a pretext to begin to extend their imperial influence. To understand what was happening at this time, you need to know that Japan was undergoing a process known as the Meiji Restoration, in which the former military government under the shogunate and the samurai was slowly being replaced by a process of industrialization, the ending of serfdom, and the embracing of Western liberal economics and a Western liberal system of governance. They maintained many of their traditional Japanese values and many of their traditional Japanese systems, maintaining the seat of the emperor, but were undergoing a process of industrialization, which would eventually allow Japan to become a world power and an empire. The eventual Japanese punitive expedition would be made up of 3,600 men and 6 warships. They would land in Chin Bay, down the road here. It's about 20 minutes from here. The Japanese would confront the TAIWAN warriors here, on this hilltop. They attacked from 3 directions. The TAIWAN eventually were overwhelmed and retreated into the forests and continued a campaign of guerrilla resistance. The Japanese didn't lose many men from the actual fighting. They lost about 12 men from the fighting and 30 were wounded. However, fighting the TAIWAN's guerrilla resistance campaign inflicted huge losses from attrition. The Japanese would kill 81 TAIWAN, including a major tribal leader. The Japanese sustained very minimal losses from the actual combat. They sustained 12 deaths and 30 wounded. So the Japanese casualties were minimal, especially for a force of 3,600. However, fighting the TAIWAN's guerrilla resistance started to inflict the toll of attrition upon them. You need to remember that this is a very tropical place. I mean, right now it's about 30 degrees, right? So it was very hot, very humid. Trying to keep hydrated would have been very difficult. There would have been tropical diseases. So the Japanese ended up taking attrition of 561 men, dying to things like disease and dehydration. On account of these extremely high losses, the Japanese ended up signing a peace treaty with the TAIWAN people and leaving. This event, however, has implications far beyond this little hill here in Kending. This was the first expedition of the Japanese to another country. It was the beginning of Japanese expression of their imperial might abroad.
They used the incident as a pretext for the annexation of the Ryukyu Islands, which had been a tributary of the Qing. So it was the first major slighting of the Qing dynasty. It also shows us that at that time, we had a rising Japan and a China that was in steadfast decline. Japan would continue to grow in influence, military power, and economic strength. And by 1895, in its war with China, the Sino-Japanese War, they were able to take control of Taiwan entirely, beginning the era on Taiwan of Japanese imperialism. The Japanese Empire would continue to grow in influence, economic power, and military might until World War II, where they would try to take on the whole world, just about Britain, France, America, Australia, New Zealand. They declared war on all of them all at once. So Japanese control of Taiwan lasted from the end of the Sino-Japanese War and the surrender of Taiwan from Qing Dynasty China to Japan until the end of World War II in 1945, the unconditional surrender of the Japanese Empire to the Allied powers. It's a little disappointing that the monument area is not very well kept. Like the path up here, the grass is all grown over. So I guess people just don't care about this anymore. Alright. So, I was wrong. That was not the site of the battle. The site of the battle is here. Okay, and we've got a lot of TAIWAN iconography going on here. The memorial that I showed is actually a memorial to the Japanese commander that died. From what I can gather, this is a monument to the TAIWAN people who died during the battle. That other monument was a monument to the Japanese commander, Judo Saigo. And I think just this whole area was the battlefield. Oh well, nevertheless, very interesting. You can sort of see where the terrain would have been chosen by the TAIWAN. Wouldn't have been easy for the Japanese to come up here, and I bet the TAIWAN people knew the terrain very well and understood how to use it to their advantage. That's probably why they were able to escape into the mountains even though they're practically surrounded. Now we're off to Chechen Bay, see where the Japanese landed, and to watch the sunset. I just saw this on the side of the road. Context, there's a military base down the road. Alright, I saw this and I was like, God, that is adorable. I need to get some shots. This is so cute. Oh man. Leave it up to the Taiwanese to even have their like army stuff be adorable. You should see some of the army patches they have here, man. Like, the Taiwanese are an extremely cute people. Right, well I've had a pretty good adventure here in Kending, but I think it's time to relax, have a beer, some chips, and enjoy the sunset.